Brian. Why, Brian? Why? Wait a minute, don't play it yet. Hey everybody, welcome to the Joy Reid Show. Jason done teased what we're gonna look. It happened to Don. It's also happened to us. Big up to the Lemonheads. We see all you already dropping in. I know what y'all already know. I want to big up to everybody that is watching the Joy Reid Show on YouTube, on Substack, on Facebook, our Twitchies on Twitch, also those listening on podcast platforms. If you're on LinkedIn, wherever you're at, we just appreciate you being here. Happy Friday. Happy Friday for us. Not a happy Friday for everybody. The news that broke just before we went on the air. It's like rankling shows. We're having to probably push out some content tonight, or get rid of some content that we wanted to talk about because we got to fit this in, y'all. We got to fit this in. By the way, just reminding you guys, we're trying to climb up to 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. We have surpassed 440,000. We're climbing 1,000 to 2,000 a day, which is really fantastic. But please, if you have not sent this link to 5 friends, if you're a YouTube viewer, please send it to 5 friends. Maybe send it to 10. Why not? Make your whole family get on board.
How about 20 friends so we can
get them? 20 friends.
But that's 60,000 to get in 8 weeks.
We got to get 60,000 in 8 weeks. It's tough. It's a tough climb.
Let's get it done.
But we also are trying to get to 250 on Substack. The Stack. So we want to build that too. We want to try to also build up our Facebook. Now, my personal Facebook, I have 600,000 people on there, but the official show Facebook has 25,000. We want to get that to 100. And our little Twitchies, we want you to, you're a little army of 300. You're so adorable. We love you so much. You Twitchies, you're so cute. We want you to grow too. We want everybody to grow. We love everybody. So, but yeah, let me tell y'all something. We had a whole plan. And we are definitely going to get to this wild Melania news later in the show. Lev Parnas is going to join us. Tommy Christopher from Mediaite. We got a lot going on. We got Dr. John Gartner to talk about Trump's mentals. But before we have a great Congresswoman Ansari that's going to be with us shortly. But before we get to that, I just have to let you know, this broke not long ago from the Daily Mail. And I'm attributing this. This is the Daily Mail's reporting. This is not our reporting, but this audio seems to be accurate. This is Brian.
Are we teasing or playing the whole
Byron
thing?
Noem. Let's play a teeny bit of it. Byron Noem apparently was recorded by his big-breasted gal pal, and she might be the source of all of this news that he liked to dress up in busty wear and wanted to also maybe permanently be a busty girl. But let's play just a tiny bit of the audio that has dropped from the Daily Mail on Brian.
I'm only going to play a little bit.
Just a little bit.
And I would bow to you.
What if people saw us together?
I don't give a fuck.
Not even if you got recognized?
I don't care.
Brian. What are you doing, Brian? Let me read the story. Kristi Noem's husband, Brian, B-R-Y-O-N, that's why I pronounce it that way, Brian, had an on-again, off-again secret relationship with a left-wing dominatrix for more than 9 years. The Daily Mail can exclusively reveal at times the former Homeland Security Secretary's husband encouraged Shy Sotomayor. She's a wise Latina named Sotomayor, similar to the Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor, as she repeatedly insulted his wife. We're going to play that audio later. Brian fantasized about leaving Kristi for the woman he worshipped as his goddess and discussed his desire to transition his own gender through surgery and hormone therapy. This is the far right-wing mass deportation, shoot him in the face Department of Homeland Security and Border Patrol former Homeland Security Director, former governor of South Dakota. They've been married since he was the first gentleman of South Dakota. Okay, Brian. Daily Mail has confirmed the telephone number that was used in these clips was Brian's, who also paid for their conversations using an email under the pseudonym Crystal Balls with a Z 666. Crystal, CHRYSTAL, Balls, BALLS 666, and admitted that he would like to be referred to by the name Crystal. Sotomayor is a 5-foot sex worker known as Raylan Riley with extra large 2,500 cc breast implants. Has shared dozens of phone recordings and online messages with the Daily Mail, revealing her conversations with the now 56-year-old insurance executive who used the alias Jason Jackson, taking the name of Jason in vain. Y'all, listen. The news just be getting spicier and spicier and spicier up in here.
He's not my type.
We've heard it, fam. We've heard more. We're gonna play a little bit more of it later on, but baby, we're gonna have to talk about this later. Luckily, we do have a clinician on soon. We've also got a media expert and also Lev Parnas. So we're reaching out to them all now. Greetings from London. Thanks to those in London. Cheerio, pip pip. Thank you for tuning in from the UK. We appreciate it. But we're going to get to all that, plus the Melania news later in the show. So you guys got to wait for that. And of course, we're going to get our guests in on it. We're furiously reaching out to our guests to see what their takes are on all that. But let's start with one of the weirdest developments in our kleptocratic nightmare. The White House is now apparently extending its religious war, not just to Muslims, Iranians, Palestinians, and the still sovereign country of Lebanon, but now also to the Holy See of the Catholic Church and our first American Pope. Let's put up the pic. This gentleman is Elbridge Colby. Perfect name for a patrician goon. He is the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, reporting to TV weekend host turned Secretary of War Crimes, Pete Hegseth. And according to Italian writer Mattia Faresi, who wrote a piece for the Free Press, Barry Weiss's former outfit, that got picked up by CBS for $200 million. As recorded by the Daily Beast, quote, a top Vatican diplomat was summoned to the Pentagon for a bitter lecture demanding that the Pope get behind Donald Trump. It has emerged. Vatican officials briefed on the meeting told the Free Press that one of the Pentagon's most senior officials summoned Cardinal Christophe Pierre to meet in January, then told him that the United States has the military power to do, quote, whatever it wants, and that Pope Leo, the first American-born pontiff, better take our side. Better take our side is a quote. The site writes that as tensions escalated, one U.S. official went so far as to invoke the Avignon papacy, the period in the 1300s when the French crown leveraged its military power to dominate the papal authority, essentially threatening to take our military and force the Vatican to become what, a vassal to the United States? What in the Helliance? So what is it that got under the War Crimes Department's underpants, I wonder? According to the article, Colby, who is a Catholic who served in the first Trump administration and was nominated by Trump to his current role and who's a close ally of, wait for it, Catholic convert and newly appointed member of the Get Us the Hell Out of Iran quagmire, J.D. Vance. The Free Press article notes that such a meeting between the Pentagon officials and the Vatican is believed to be unprecedented. And here's what's apparently got to them. The Free Press writes that the Pentagon brass picked apart the pontiff's January speech, the Pope's January speech, Pope Leo, referring to his inaugural State of the World address. They reportedly took issue with a passage in which Pope Leo challenged Donald Trump's so-called Don Roe doctrine, a stupid name if I ever heard one, the Don Roe doctrine, which Trump invented, saying a diplomacy, this is what the Pope said, a diplomacy that promotes dialogue and seeks consensus among all parties is being replaced by a diplomacy based on force by either individuals or groups of allies. They hate that. They also hate that the first American Pope, a New Orleans by a Chicago Creole, which I love mentioning every time I can, opposes mass deportation and the regime's tormenting of immigrants, that he supports the right of Palestinians and Iranians to live despite being brown and mainly Muslim, and that he routinely says things like this.
Per giustificare la guerra.
Brothers and sisters, this is our God, Jesus, King of Peace, who rejects war, whom no one can use justify war. He does not listen to the prayers of those who wage war, but rejects them, saying, even though you make many prayers, I will not listen. Your hands are full of blood.
I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven, okay? I really don't. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound. I may be in heaven right now as we fly in Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven.
Brothers and sisters, this is our God, Jesus, King of Peace, who rejects war, whom no one can use justify war. He does not listen to the prayers of those who wage war, but rejects them, saying, even though you make many prayers, I will not listen. Your hands are full of blood.
Your hands are full of blood. Though you make many prayers, I will not listen. Your hands are full of blood. They don't like that. But what really may have been the final straw for these fake Christians is that this Pope, he can come off the top rope on MAGA's golden calf with bars like these.
In English, I would simply say, once again, what I said in the Urbi et Orbi message on Sunday, asking all people of goodwill to search always for peace and not violence, to reject war, especially a war which many people have said is an unjust war, which is continuing to escalate and which is not resolving anything. In fact, we have a worldwide economic crisis, energy crisis, situation in the Middle East of great instability, which is only provoking more hatred throughout the world. So come back to the table, let's talk, let's look for solutions in a peaceful way, and let's remember especially the innocent, children, the elderly, the sick, so many people who have already become or will become victims of this continued warfare. To remind all that attacks on civilian infrastructure is against international law, but that it is also a sign of the hatred, the division, the destruction that the human being is capable of. And we all want to work for peace. People want peace. I would invite the citizens of all the countries involved to contact the authorities, political leaders, congressmen, to ask them, tell them to work for peace and to reject war always. Thank you very much.
He said, contact your representatives. I love having an American Pope. I'm sorry, I love the idea that the Pope can come at the warmonger president in Chicago English. I love it so much. I love the previous Pope. I thought the previous Pope was great, but this Pope is low-key becoming my favorite Pope, right? So they hate the fact that he does that. Now, the latest Fox poll shows that while Donald Trump basically split the Catholic vote, he barely won Catholics. He won white evangelicals by like 80 points or something, but Catholics were a lot more split. Latino Catholics were slightly pro-Trump. White Catholics went for Trump, maybe like 52%, but it wasn't like an overwhelming win by, they were one of the more skeptical group of Christian voters, and Catholics of color did not vote for him. Black Catholics, did not. But the latest Fox poll shows that Trump is now underwater with Catholics. 48% approving, 52% disapproving. That's a Fox poll. And that distance between Catholics and this president is growing. Catholics tend to be pro-immigration, pro-helping the poor, anti-war, none of which comports with this extreme neocon, hyper-Christian, Zionist, white Christian nationalist regime. And make no mistake, this regime's religious war is not just against Muslims, it's also against Christians. Not just the Christians that, we in Israel are bombing in Gaza and Lebanon and Iran, and that Israeli settlers are killing and ethnic cleansing in the West Bank. In this country, Hegseth recently removed the head of the Army's chaplain corps and 2 other generals during Holy Week, firing Major General William Green Jr., who belongs to the National Baptist Convention and who happens to have been only the 3rd Black American to hold that position, fired clearly due to the color of his skin. Green was formally removed 3 days before Easter. No reason was given, no reason publicly stated. Green has not publicly commented on his removal either. The Reverend Raz Waff, executive director of the Military Chaplains Association, told EWTN News, which is a religious sort of news organization, that Green's removal is unprecedented, noting that chiefs are appointed to 4-year statutory written-in law terms. So the firing was probably illegal. And Pete Hegseth, who has presided over not just 1, but 4 potential war crimes, the murder of fishermen in the Caribbean Sea, assisting the ethnic cleansing of Gaza and Lebanon, the kidnapping of the Venezuelan dictator, with Trump declaring that we are taking that country's oil, which is a whole war crime, and now the illegal war on Iran, in which we opened by killing 160 schoolgirls with a Tomahawk missile, and then a second tap at that same school. And then we in Israel bombed a stadium. The bloodthirsty, unqualified, drunken preteen who Trump cast to lead the Pentagon also routinely says things like this.
Campaign that we've conducted, that Israel's conducted alongside us, was one for the history books, truly. And it's because we have a president of the United States that when he sends his warfighters out to fight, he unties their hands to actually go out and close with and destroy the enemy as viciously as possible from moment one. And that's why we see ourselves as part of this negotiation as well. We negotiate with bombs. You have a choice as we loiter over the top of Tehran, as the president talked about your future. The president has made it clear that you will not have a nuclear weapon. The War Department agrees. Our job is to ensure that. And so we're keeping our hand on that throttle as long as hard as is necessary to ensure the interests of the United States of America are achieved on that battlefield.
It is always helpful when people announce their war crimes in advance. We negotiate with bombs. Pete Hegseth, who seems like people have described it as a 13-year-old playing Call of Duty. That is the way that he sees warfare, right? This is his chance to be as bloodthirsty as he apparently wanted to be when he was in the military. He got drummed out of the military, I think for misconduct, or he just didn't fit into the military culture. But he's now decided to switch the military culture to fit his hardline, far-right, white Christian nationalist belief system. And he's warping the military and the Pentagon to those aims. He's literally firing people based on the color of their skin or their gender. White men are the only people allowed to advance inside of the Pentagon. He's going after anyone who isn't a lickspittle to Donald Trump, trying to get complete obedience. And they're having like religious services inside of the Pentagon. There was one that got coded as no Catholics allowed. It was a Friday mass on Good Friday, but technically Catholics don't do mass on Fridays before Easter. But it got written up that way because he's been so reactively and sort of reactionarily anti-everybody except white far right-wing evangelicals. He's had Doug Wilson, who is a far right-wing evangelical leader, address the Pentagon from a podium inside the Pentagon. He's turned the Department of Defense back into the Department of War, which it hasn't been since the 1940s. You do realize that when we first started the country, there was a Department of War. It only supervised the Army. Then there was a Department of the Navy. And then over time, during the Civil War, there was still no formal one unitary defense department. But leading after that, war, we did have a Department of War. And then it was changed to the Department of Defense after World War II. Because after World War II, the clear mission of the Pentagon was to oversee all of the military branches, including not just the Army and the Navy, but also the Marines and the Air Force. Remember, there wasn't an Air Force in the beginning, even though Donald Trump once said there was. And then it became the duty of the Defense Department to defend the country, to defend our country against all enemies, foreign, apparently domestic. But they've suddenly restyled it as the Department of War. This was your first signal that they plan to wage unlimited war around the country that just happens to also financially benefit the first family. I will remind you again that Donald Trump's sons are invested in drone companies, 3 of them, while we are using those very weapons in Iran. The first family is now benefiting from unlimited war, something Donald Trump promised he would never do. It's interesting, right? And the person that is the physical vehicle of this unlimited war around the world, illegal wars, illegal attacks on fishermen in the Caribbean Sea, illegal bombing of a children's school, a girls' school in Iran, and now helping Israel to wage what sure as heck looks like an expansionist war in the Middle East in order to achieve this illegal vision of annexing a territory from 5 of their neighbors to create greater Israel, Eretz Israel. It's all a mess. No wonder there are now calls, not just for the impeachment and maybe 25th Amendment of Trump, which we're going to talk about later in the show, but maybe also a Pete Hegseth. Joining me now is Congresswoman Yassamin Ansari. She represents Arizona's 3rd congressional district. She's the youngest woman in the 119th Congress and the first Iranian-American Democrat to serve in the U.S. House and potentially maybe in the Congress at all. Congresswoman, thanks so much for being here. And you have called for Hegseth's impeachment. We're going to put your statement up on the screen, but I'm just going to let you tell us in your own words why you believe he should be impeached. Well, those are your words too, but why do you want to see him impeached?
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for having me. What a horrific week it's been. As I just caught a little bit of your show prior to this with all of the war around the world and Donald Trump's, increasingly erratic behavior from somebody who was, focused on being an authoritarian here in the United States. I think he's gone on to now wanting to be an emperor, and the fact that he's mentally unstable and simultaneously trying to bomb other countries, seize other countries' territories is really terrifying. And the person who is taking out and like actually executing all of these missions is Pete Hegseth. And Pete Hegseth has proven to be unfit for office from the very early days of this administration when he leaked classified information through a Signal chat, which, feels like a lifetime ago now, but that was in and of itself an impeachable offense with how egregious it was and the way that it put service members at harm. Following that, he has been behind the double tap strikes on the boats in the Caribbean, which have been, I think, just condemned widely in the international community and for good reason. Potential war crimes there. If he wasn't Secretary of War, that would be considered murder. And most recently in the war with Iran, on the first day of this war, that while I will still stand by the administration never gave clear objections for what the war was about, in some phrases and in some places, they tried to pretend like it was somehow about freeing the Iranian people. And on day one of the war, they bombed a children's school and 160 kids were killed. We've already forgotten about this, essentially. I mean, it barely comes up in conversation.
We haven't forgotten about it. I will tell you that. We talk about this on every single show because
we have not.
Yeah, never stop talking about it. Amen. I mean, this is a war crime, and I'm shocked, Congresswoman. And if I could ask you to turn your phone. Can you turn your phone landscape for us?
Yeah.
Thanks. Oh yeah, hit us with a landscape push. But I mean, I 100% agree with you that the dehumanization of the Iranian people, much like happened in Gaza, began with a purposeful, deliberate attack on a children's school, which the U.S. they were pretty quick about taking credit for it, right? They didn't even deny it.
No, they have not denied it. There sadly has been a lot of propaganda still trying to say that it was the Islamic Republic regime that did it, but the U.S. didn't deny it. But there's been no apology. There was never any, reckoning of it as well, which is unfortunate, but I guess not surprising. So we are we've announced the articles of impeachment, but we are filing them this coming week and really urging colleagues to support. I think that, there's always questions about whether or not impeachment in the minority is worth it politically. And I think we're just living in times where every effort is worth it. I mean, these are not normal times. And when it comes to matters of warfare and life or death, I think the fact that Pete Hegseth is somebody with making decisions that could have cost thousands of lives, could one day cost millions of lives. It's extremely serious that he's held accountable and removed from office as soon as possible, because there's 3 years left to go in this administration. And clearly Donald Trump continues to have aspirations in other parts of the world militarily.
Yeah. And I note that Pete Hegseth himself left the Army National Guard in 2021 after being flagged as a potential insider threat by a fellow service member, which led him to being removed from duty at President Joe Biden's inauguration. He was seen as somebody who was dangerous to be in our military, in part because he has these tattoos. One of them is Deus Vult. It's a tattoo on his arm, which is sometimes used by white supremacist groups. It's certainly used by religious supremacist groups, right? Christian supremacists, white Christian supremacist groups. Mm-hmm. He had described it as being a betrayal when he was pushed out. But this is a man who now has the power to remove other people. And Adam Serwer has a great, I think, must-read piece in The Atlantic where he talks about the fact that he's using his power to resegregate the military, to bring back honorifics to traitorous Confederate generals, to begin to laud them again publicly by our military, to push Black troops out, including the chaplain, to get rid of women, to get rid of anyone who isn't a white man, and even to say there's no beards allowed, which would mean J.D. Vance couldn't serve anymore. But I think that is a way of trying to get Muslim men out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I mean, and I wonder if your colleagues on the other side express any discomfort with the things that he's doing in that regard.
I have not heard any conversation with colleagues about that. Look, I think there's, sadly, with how the districts are built now and the way primaries, as we know in this country, largely become They do draw people to the left or to the right. So many more of our colleagues are just really bought into MAGA and the MAGA ideology and the more kind of racist ideology. And I also think a lot is being missed, right? There's so many egregious things that happen every single day. I think many people are still not aware of the Christian nationalism messaging that Pete Hegseth really is like leading with at the Department of War. And even for this war, I'm part of the Free Thought Caucus in Congress because I consider myself to be agnostic. The group is members who are either agnostic, atheist, or just very firmly like separation of church and state is extremely important to them. And we were all chatting about just the messaging that was being spread among the military right before they decided to strike Iran about this being a holy war. And that is something that I think in and of itself, again,
we're going to hope she comes back. Yeah, we just lost Representative Ansari's signal, so we're going to hope it comes back. We can take her backstage and see if she comes back.
Got you.
Listen, the internet is a curious thing, and we don't know if Starlink just listens to when people say things that Elon Musk doesn't like and just turns their signals off. We have no idea.
No,
but we're hoping we get the representative back. This is bad Wi-Fi.
Well, I think she's probably in the Capitol, and they probably got bad Capitol. No.
Yeah, they probably have bad Wi-Fi. So we'll see if we get her back. But I think the point she was making was excellent. By the way, I will note that on Monday, we're going to do our belated Moral Monday for the month of April. And I'm really excited. I do believe we have not just Bishop Barber, but also Father Michael Flager. We're really excited because we really need to hear from people who are real religious leaders, because Pete Hegseth pretending to be a religious leader and bringing in people like Joe Wilson and this guy Rigney is frightening, because they're trying to justify a war that is a profiteering war. Let's just be clear. This war is benefiting oil companies and the Trump family, Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff, and a small number of oligarchs are literally financially grifting the country using relentless war. And Donald Trump said he was running on not doing dumb wars and not continuing wars. But he's doing it and making money off it. I think we have the representative back. I can see her there.
Hi, sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay. I want you to go ahead and finish your thought.
I don't know where I lost you, but I was commenting on the fact that Pete Hegseth was telling the military that this is a holy war, and that there was reporting about the fact that is what some of the generals and the military was getting that messaging right before they decided to strike Iran and start this war. And that's terrifying. That's absolutely against what this country was founded upon, and the separation of church and state. And to make any sort of war in the Middle East about being a holy war is just, I mean, it's apocalyptic in my view.
It is. And it's ironic that we are fighting a country that is an actual theocracy, and the people who are fighting it on our side are trying to turn us into a theocracy. And people get mad when I try to compare Iran and the US, but it seems like Iran is aspirational to people like Pete Hegseth, because they want to be a country that governs itself out of a religious book. They just want to use a different religious book. Let's talk about another thing that might maybe attract some Republicans to your impeachment, because I don't know how many sponsors do you have?
We are somewhere in the realm of 5 to 10 Democrats at the moment.
And no Republicans yet, not even Thomas Massey. Okay. So, I mean, the one thing that I think might shake some Republicans loose, because it's a big leap to try to get Republicans to vote to impeach any Republican appointed official. But the Military Times came out with something that it's been texted and emailed to me about 177 times. It has alarmed the crap out of people. The fact that the Pentagon is now implementing, or the federal government is implementing automatic draft registration. So draft eligible men starting in December will be automatically registered. Now we know that selective service, it has been the law since the 70s. It is, if you don't register for the draft, you are ineligible for things like student loans, certain jobs, your credit rating. It's difficult to get. Like, it really makes your life hard. But what this would do is take away the agency. It would register all draft eligible men automatically. This coming on top of raising the enlistment age in the Army to 42 is raising alarms that this is something that they are looking to as a way to get more men on the table in case they want forever wars. Do you think, first of all, what is your reaction to that? And do you think that might shake some Republicans loose?
My reaction is that it's very alarming. It's unclear why a president who campaigned on no new wars has changed so significantly, allegedly. But I mean, look, I think we know that Donald Trump lied about many things on the campaign. I think he's gotten this taste of power, or what he feels is like this, limitlessness, that he can do whatever he wants. He definitely felt that way about Venezuela. And if you've seen, I'm sure you've seen one of his most recent posts about Iran, saying that something about how our military is looking forward to its next conquest, vaguely, suggesting it's unclear whether it's about Iran or some other place. I mean, we know he's been talking about Cuba. So with 3 more years to go of this administration, this policy, like the actions that have happened coupled with this policy, indicate that there are more plans for the U.S. to embark on wars and military excursions, while at the same time, they are taking away your health care and taking away your rights and taking away your food assistance and making life so difficult here. But I think you are absolutely right that Republicans could come on board with this. I will say I continue, it was stunning for me to see some of Donald Trump's most avid supporters from the MAGA movement and his campaign, from Alex Jones to Nick Fuentes, of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Tucker Carlson. They were calling for the 25th Amendment being invoked because of Trump's threats to end the civilization. So the more he goes down this path, he's going to lose so many of his top supporters. And that's when I think Republicans in Congress are always just a little bit behind. Like, it takes a lot from the public and their base and just movement in the ecosystem for them to feel brave enough to do something against the administration publicly.
Yeah, I think sometimes people think a lot of Democrats are behind as well. Not you, but there are a lot of them that are in leadership positions that are not as ahead of the game as you are, Congresswoman. The White House has warned some of their internal staff to be wary of these aggressive trades that you've seen. You've seen a lot of people trading against the market, trading against the oil market. There were some mysterious trades just before Donald Trump started bombing Iran. We still don't know who did those trades, but you don't have to take too many wild guesses. But people are trading off of this war, including members of Congress. Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee actually partnered with Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal and other Democrats to say we need to put a law on the books to stop Congress from trading against the information that they get behind closed doors. Have you seen any movement on that? Because it seems to me that the biggest incentive for Congress to allow Trump to wage wars is that some of them are personally profiting from it.
I think there's a lot of movement here. I mean, there's a variety of groups teaming up on this issue and on prediction markets in particular as well. I have a bill with Congressman Greg Casar, Senator Chris Murphy as well, and some others, called the Bets Off Act, which it's kind of like a full ban on prediction market trading for those with information. I think the fact that Congresswoman Jayapal is teaming up with a Republican is great. This is the one of the crux of the issue here is the corruption, stunning corruption that is taking place right now, that we're seeing every single day. What kind of a dystopian Black Mirror-esque world are we living in when people are betting on whether or not millions of people potentially will die or whether there will be a ceasefire that evening? It's so sick. So I think that we should be pushing on this much harder. That includes myself. I mean, I have the bill, but I think, as you know, so much goes on every single day. They just keep us kind of going in different directions. But this is a commonality that's going on across every issue. So we really have to, I think this is where we really need to come together and get something passed, especially when it comes to anyone in the administration or family members of those in the administration, members of Congress, anyone. Our bill is anyone with access to sensitive government information should be banned from trading on places like Kalshi, etc.
And before I let you go, I have to ask you about Bibi Netanyahu, because there's been a lot of call on the Democratic base side, but even among some MAGA Republicans. I think Tucker Carlson just recently called for the U.S. to completely stop funding Israel, just completely defund Israel, since they do not listen to us. They're supposed to be the junior partner. They act like they're the boss. Bibi Netanyahu's trial resumes, I believe, this weekend. His corruption trial. He and his wife are charged with financial corruption. And there's a lot of belief that he is keeping these wars going. An endless war for him is about staying out of prison. As long as he's at war, he's popular and he's able to stay in power, maybe for life. And this is somebody who has said in an interview, said in a 2025 interview, that he personally dreams of Eretz Israel, Greater Israel, which would mean expanding Israel's borders by eating up parts of Jordan, confiscating parts of Syria, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Iraq, and Turkey, literally expanding the country by like 5 times. Just for yourself, as an Iranian American, as you look at this region that somebody like Bibi sees as simply land and opportunity, he doesn't see the people there. He doesn't think that they have any rights to their land. He doesn't think he and his allies, Smotrich and Ben Gvir, I'm not even sure that they think that people who are not them are human. And just for yourself, what do you make of the fact that we still give this man so much money?
Yeah, I think that there's nobody that's done more damage to Israel than Benjamin Netanyahu. I mean, he has single-handedly, I think, turned, changed American public perception. To your point, now the majority of Americans believe that the United States should not be supporting Israel militarily. I will admit I'm a little late, but I will be signing the Block the Bombs Act in the coming days. That would condition offensive military aid to Israel. I think as an Iranian American, what I'll say is it's been a very hard time because there's actually a subset, and I'm sure you've seen it, there is a subset of the Iranian diaspora that is very right-wing, and they were actually, like, the term MAGA was very popular these last couple of weeks, make Iran great again. And when Israel and the United States first started bombing Iran, there were people celebrating, Persian community celebrating, holding Israeli flags, holding, American flags, posters of Benjamin Netanyahu. And I think some people, out of desperation for regime change in Iran, really believed that there were good intentions here by these two people. I continue to sound the alarm to say there was not. I have received so many death threats and so much backlash throughout this process because of it. It's been a very terrifying time for me and my family. But I can tell you very clearly that just look at their actions, from bombing schools, bombing dozens of hospitals, universities, desalination plants. I think that their goal was really to destroy Iran and turn it into a failed state, and make sure that it's a weak country. I don't think that they, would have any issue with the country disintegrating and being losing its territorial integrity, which is something Iranians care very deeply about. And now look at what's happening in Lebanon. I'm also just signing on to the war powers resolution that Congresswoman Tlaib has in regard to any U.S. involvement with Lebanon because of how we are seeing the bombardment from Israel there. So it's very scary. And, I am not an expert on domestic Israeli politics, but from the experts that I have talked to, it seems that even if there was somebody else, they wouldn't necessarily be better right now where public sentiment is in the country and the political parties that are gaining power. So that's of concern because, I think we were all kind of hoping that Bibi's days would be over and there could be somebody in leadership that would be more pragmatic and have a more pro-diplomacy approach with their neighbors in the region.
Yeah. Well, I am so sorry to hear that you are facing death threats and facing threats and difficulty, but you're very brave. And I've always loved the fact that you speak out, you speak your mind, and you stand up for truth and justice. And that's the kind of person that we love having on this show. So please feel free to come back anytime and stay safe. Congresswoman Yassamin Ansari, thank you so much for being here. Keep up the good fight. Please keep us posted as you get more sponsors for that impeachment, because I think we all agree that it should happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you very much. So there is one of the good congresswomen, the ones who's really fighting the good fight. Thank you all very much for listening to her because she's really great. We'll hopefully have her back. I want to take a note before we move on to our next break to let you guys know that this show, the Joy Reid Show, is brought to you by our friends at 120 Life. This is one of our favorites, okay? I got to show you this. I got to show you there's the cold one, and I got to show you there's the powdered one. I actually personally love the cold one best because it's nice and cold and you can drink it after a workout. But there's a better reason to drink this than that it tastes good, because it actually really tastes really great. But that's not the reason. The main reason that you want to turn to things like this is that we are facing so many pressures and challenges, and health always takes a beating in those moments. And right now, there is a quiet health problem that is not only damaging our bodies every single day, but most people don't even know what's happening to them. They're feeling the stress, but not realizing that high blood pressure is actually the number one risk factor for mortality. Half of all adults, 1 in every 2, have high blood pressure. Many don't even know it. So here's the question. Do you actually know what your blood pressure is? Most people don't. And that is actually a problem. So what I would advise is just don't guess. Stop guessing about your health. Actually take steps to improve your blood pressure, to keep it low, and to also do it in a way that's really lifestyle friendly. Try 120 Life's 14-day experiment for yourself, okay, or somebody that you care about. All you have to do is measure your numbers before and then measure them after for 2 weeks. And that's when you, your friend, or family member will realize it's actually working. Many people see improvement in as little as 2 weeks. 120 Life is a once-a-day functional drink made from ingredients that help support healthy blood pressure. It's not a pill or a stimulant or some like weird trendy wellness gimmick. It tastes great. It's refreshing. It's made from a blend of superfruit juices, and it fits into your real normal life. The powdered version, which is this one right here, and that's just 1 gram of sugar, making it a smart option if you're watching your blood sugar as well as your blood pressure. Over 1,000 health professionals have supported or endorsed its use, and it's increasingly becoming a go-to natural food in clinical settings, not just wellness circles. And again, it's great right after workout. So if you're going to do the workout, then you drink your 120 Life, and then you keep it moving. If you want to try it, go to 120life.com. That's 120life.com. Use my code JOY or the code REID for 20% off. You can try it risk-free for 2 weeks. If your blood pressure doesn't come down, you get a full refund. So go to 120life.com and use the code JOY or REID to save 20%. Why wait until next month? Nothing to lose except your high blood pressure numbers. Go to 120life.com, use the code JOY or REID, get 20% off. Why not? These statements, by the way, have not been approved by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease, just to make your life better. All right, so let's move on. Let's still talk about this Trump-Iran failure. It's now being just brutally and regularly mocked, basically by every Iranian embassy all over the world, from Zimbabwe to the EU. Let me show you one of the more popular memes mocking his concession to get a 2-week ceasefire that has not even reopened the Gulf of Hormuz. The Gulf is still not open. Here it is, B1. This is one of the many, many mockeries of Donald Trump. Here it is. Oh, yeah, B1. Mm-hmm. Oh, there it goes. Okay, no, here it comes. Oop. Okay, turn the music down and boom! There it is. So there it is. This is one of the many that are floating around the interwebs of Donald Trump with a big white flag. Because he waved the white flag. He literally agreed to all of Trump's demands and then Iran's demands, and then tried to say, we won a crushing victory and we did regime change. No, you didn't. Russian TV is also weighing in, mocking Trump's war failure as well as his declining mental state. Per Express News UK, quote, Trump has escaped from the trap of his own making by getting the 2-week ceasefire, but only the feverish mind of the American himself can consider this a triumphant victory. One of the newspapers reported. The Russian editor for the BBC also explained how Russian media believes there is a mass of political bonuses for Iran in this ceasefire, referring to the 10-point ceasefire. Moscow-based daily newspaper Moscowy Koromolets wrote, the only thing missing from the list is the demand that the arrogant American leader himself personally come to Tehran, crawl 10 kilometers, periodically kissing the bombed asphalt, and then publicly repent. Damn. And of course, even Marjorie Taylor Greene began calling for the 25th Amendment, as you heard Congresswoman Ansari mention, questioning Trump's sanity after this wild post on Easter Sunday, vowing to end Iranian civilization, to say nothing of the fact that he regularly says madman stuff like this.
Said Iranians would be mad if you stopped these attacks, but why would they want you to blow up their infrastructure, to cut off their power? Wouldn't that be punishing Iranians for the actions of the regime?
They would be willing and it's suffering. They would be willing to suffer that in order to have freedom.
The Iranians have, and we've had numerous intercepts. Please keep bombing. Bombs that are dropping near their homes. Please keep bombing. Do it. And these are people that are living where the bombs are exploding. And when we leave and we're not hitting those areas, they're saying, please come back, come back, come back. These are the people. I don't know what they do. All I can tell you is they want freedom. They have lived in a world that you know nothing about. It's a violent, horrible world where if you protest, you are shot.
If you protest in Minneapolis, you are shot. What are you talking about? Joining us now is Dr. John Gartner, American psychologist, psychotherapist, author, activist, and former part-time assistant professor at Johns Hopkins University Medical School. It is great to see you again, Dr. Gartner. Thank you for coming back. So, let me just point you to an email that was, the Epstein files have given us sort of a bounty of information. And in the Epstein files was this 2018 email between Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein, in which they reference a Daily Beast article entitled, "How Close is Trump to a Psychiatric Breakdown?" This is 2018. Epstein replies, sums it up well, needs to add Melania, pressure, something about equal C2, Bibi indictment, Jared money grubbing, recipe for tragedy. Now, the piece they're referencing is a Daily Beast article about Trump's alleged psychiatric breakdown. And it refers to a 2017 book called The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump, in which you, sir, and 26 other experts, psychiatrists, psychologists, other mental health professionals warned of the clear and present danger that Trump's mental health poses to the nation and our individual well-being. So I ask you, sir, how much more danger are we in now than we were then?
I know this sounds dramatic, but this is what I really believe. I believe we're careening towards the apocalypse, and I don't see anything that's going to stop us. See, I think what was missing from your reporting just now about the war is we're all gleefully kind of laughing, the white flag, etc., but we're not appreciating the psychology or the psychopathology that's driving this war and how this is something he's becoming addicted to. He is a sexual sadist as well as a narcissist. And so, we know that he's sexually assaulted multiple women. And so he enjoys raping. And so he gets pleasure out of terrifying and scaring the world and creating chaos and terror. So we think he lost, but from his point of view, I remember being out to dinner with a colleague on Tuesday night saying, well, maybe this is our last night on Earth. Right. And like, well, if it was, good knowing you. And the thing is, millions of people on Tuesday were wondering if this was their last night on Earth. And what you need to understand is Donald Trump gets a sexual thrill from that. Okay. And so he's like a serial killer. Every time he does this, he gets an inflated sense of his power and his dominance, and it's exciting and it's pleasurable. And then what happens when we have something that is orgasmically pleasurable? What happens? We want to repeat it.
Do it again.
And he's already talking that way. Jonathan Karl was talking about how he's already saying, the military is already looking forward to its next conquest. And even when he was he was talking about, I'll take Cuba next. The point is that he's going to continue to escalate. Yes, it does distract from Epstein and his low poll numbers and the economy. And that's part of the reason for doing it, right? Not only politically, but psychologically, because he needs to feel powerful and dominant. And this is a space in which he can feel powerful and dominant. We can even if we take both houses of Congress, he's still the commander in chief. Now that's his basic psychopathology. Now we have to add to that his dementia. Okay. And so what we're really seeing is he's like a raging id with no frontal lobes. So he's not capable of understanding strategy or objectives or timing or negotiations. In fact, what's really shows how sick this whole thing is and how it's totally driven by a psychopathology is British security officer Jonathan Powell said he had won the negotiations before he dropped the bombs, that Iran had already agreed to give up stop enriching uranium, to degrade the uranium they had. They didn't offer any of those things to Barack Obama. He could have just said yes and crowed that he got things that Barack Obama didn't get, art of the deal, art of the schmeal, he could brag about it, and he would have a right to brag about it, because in a way, it would be an illustration of Henry Kissinger's madman theory, right? If the other side thinks you're a madman, they'll make concessions. The problem is he is an actual madman, and he prefers to watch the world burn than to win the negotiations. And so, now we learned that, of course, we know no one in the military establishment or the national security establishment or the intelligence establishment would have suggested that he go to war. But even within his own tight circle, we now learn from the New York Times that it was completely driven by Trump. The only person in his inner circle who even agreed with him was Pete Hegseth. And that guy's practically drunk on testosterone, Christian nationalism, and God knows what else. So I don't think he even counts. So all of this is being driven by Trump, and that's what he's saying. It'll be over when I want it to be over. It'll be over when I feel it in my bones. And today, Maggie Haberman said he decided to go to war on a gut feeling. Full stop. So all of this is being driven by his psychopathology, his dementia, and his need to basically make everyone terrified and make himself feel powerful.
Wow. And all of it tracks with the people surrounding him, right? What happens when a sadist surrounds himself by a woman who shot her puppy in the face because it wouldn't obey? RFK Jr., whose wife unfortunately unalived herself after, I guess, emotional abuse for years and years and years, and somebody who seems to have very weird sort of, weird behavior and sort of, wrestling a bear on the ground and eating it and things like that. Somebody like Pete Hegseth, who definitely seems to be bloodthirsty. Like he seems to be enjoying nothing more than killing in the Caribbean, killing in Iraq, in Iran, killing in Palestine. The actual just act of killing seems to be what he gets off on, and renamed illegally the Department of Defense, the Department of War, just so that he could make the point, right? That we're going to kill. We negotiate using bombs is a quote. And he surrounded himself with people who seem to also be sadists, right?
Yes,
exactly. I'm trying to think of someone around him that's not a sadist. Even Pam Bondi. Let me put this up. Pam Bondi, who Donald Trump berated and ultimately fired. And, there's lots of reasons why. We're getting lots of Lev Parnas and others have said why. At least if you go by what he has said, it's because she wasn't sadistic enough. And she was trying to prosecute everyone who ever made him mad. He seems to have surrounded himself by a bunch of incompetent sadists.
Exactly. And that's why I say I really don't see what can stop this. In his first administration, there were guardrails. Actually, you mentioned our book, The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump. Little piece of interesting gossip. John Kelly, in the middle of the night, went out and bought our book because he was trying to understand his boss.
That's your new book, by the way. Sorry, that's your new book, Rocket Man, Nuclear Madness, and the Mind of Donald Trump. I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. But go on.
We will talk about that.
Please.
But he bought the book to try to understand Trump, and he said when he read the book, he felt like, okay, now I really understand what the heck's going on with this guy. Now there are no adults in the room. Look, he chose this cabinet based on his past experience because he knew he didn't want any guardrails. So this is more like Hitler's cabinet, right? They're all psychopaths and sadists. Okay, there is no one with any conscience. Look, first of all, your main qualification for being picked for the Trump cabinet is that you're not qualified. Yeah. That's actually serious, because if you knew anything about your field, then you would know what the facts were, what the rules were, what the policies were. But we don't want anyone like that. And we also don't want anyone with a conscience or decency or a moral core. We want people who are going to be complete toadies. Basically, it's like a criminal organization. It's like the mafia. It's very similar. He really rules like a gang leader, right? Through intimidation, extortion, etc.
Pam Bondi's replacement tried to fight the Teamsters president in the halls of Congress. That's the replacement.
Right. No, he's just taking out one thug and putting in another.
What do we do about it? How do we stop this?
I get this question a lot. And I think at this point, we need to pray. Either the cheeseburgers will catch up with him before he destroys the world or not. But I don't see anyone who can stop him or anything. Do you? Tell me, who can stop him?
Unfortunately, the problem is the members of Congress Congress has abdicated the responsibility. They're either profiteering themselves. I mean, literally, Tim Burchett, one of the 3 or 4 Republicans who seem to have at least some conscience, are trying to stop their colleagues from profiteering off the war. They're betting in the stock market on stock to get rich off the war. So I can't count on Congress, right? You have John Thune, who is a wet noodle in the Senate, and then you have the poor Speaker of the House who can't get to his knees fast enough to beg Trump what is his next assignment. Like, I don't think any of them, and even the Democrats, they themselves, so many of them are so pro-Zionist that they're like, but Bibi wants it. Why can't we give it to him? Like, I don't know if there's anyone, there are like 12 or 13 of them that actually have any courage, and the rest are quislings. And so there's no Congress, there's no Supreme Court, because they are monarchists. 6 of them are monarchists. They want a king. John Roberts is just Samuel Alito with better manners. So I don't see anyone. I mean, I don't know who can stop him. I don't know. I was hoping you do.
No, I mean, I am the prophet of doom here. I mean, and full stop, no joke. I'm always joking. People are always putting in the comments on YouTube, John, Dr. Gartner, stop laughing, stop making jokes. You know, this is serious. Well, I'm not making a joke this time because it's really serious.
Yeah.
You know, even if we won the 2026, if we were allowed to have an election and we won the House and we won the Senate, we still couldn't stop it.
Let me propose this, because you understand his psychology. Then I want to talk about your book, but let's go to the psychology. If you have somebody that is a malignant narcissist, the thing that they love the most is in the mirror, right? And the thing that they want the most is to be lauded and praised. That's what Donald Trump wants. That's why the thing that upsets him the most is the bad coverage he gets, right? The fact that people like me, people on the media, he's even still mad at CBS, even though they are literally lick spittle toadies at this point. Not enough, right? His FCC chair still saying, not enough, not enough, not enough, kiss his ass harder. The thing is that can destabilize him, it seems, is people refusing to bow. Which is why No Kings feels so powerful to me, is that the people saying, we don't like you, we do not respect you, and we'll never respect you, we'll never kneel to you. That does seem to have an impact. That's one piece. And then the second piece is he cares about money. His kids are profiteering off the war. He's gotten $6.5 billion richer when he could never make that money as a real estate developer. So it seems to be that getting after the things he loves is how to get, right? If Congress switches hands, I want them to take that East Wing ballroom, put a piece of dynamite under it, and destroy it. If he builds an Arc de Triomphe, I want somebody to take a piece of dynamite, go over there, and blow it up while he's still alive to see it. Like, I want him to see his name chipped off the Kennedy Center where it doesn't belong. Everything he loves, take it. He should be dragged before the Hague. We can't do anything in the Congress, but maybe some kind country out there will force him, Hegseth, Pam Bondi, all these sadists, drag them before the Hague, make them be publicly humiliated, take away their ability to travel. If they are deemed war criminals, they can't go on vacation in Europe because Europe won't take them because they can't land there. Like, that feels like our only out, or an economic strike to basically turn him into a failure economically. Like, those feel like the only things we can do.
Here's the problem with your analysis, or at least the first thing you said. You said he looks in the mirror and he wants everybody to laud him. He does. But malignant narcissists get an even bigger thrill, right, out of harming, terrifying, degrading, right, other people. Right. You know, I know that people always say, oh, there's no evidence. There's no evidence. But let me tell you why, as a psychologist, I believe in the Russian PP tape. Because as psychologists, we're trained that if you hear a really weird detail when you're taking a history, it's probably true, because who the heck could make that up? Right? So that's the first bias I have. Second of all, so let's just for argument's sake say it happened. So look, most people who are within some realm of normality, if they're in a situation where they've chosen to be in a hotel room with prostitutes, right, are probably going to have some sort of relatively conventional sexual pleasurable experience. What he chose to do was to spoil and destroy, right? He would rather watch them urinate on Obama's bed than have he could have had any sexual experience he wanted. This is what I'm saying about the perversion. It's called omnipotent destructiveness. It's a real term to describe these people that was actually introduced by my mentor, Otto Kernberg, back in the 70s. But they feel omnipotent through destruction. So the destruction makes them feel powerful.
Do you think that's what bonded him to Epstein, who seemed just bent on destroying everyone, especially children and women?
Yes, he's a predator, right? He's a predator in every sense of the word. I mean, he preys on children, he preys on adult women, he preys on anyone, really. And so that's the thing. He's a sort of a raptosaurus. You know, he'd rather eat you than make a deal with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
It's-
so that predatory, sadistic, destructive, malevolent core that now is completely disinhibited by the fact that he has not only dementia, but a particular type of dementia called frontotemporal dementia, which, unlike Alzheimer's, where memory is the main problem, they have memory problems, and he's shown memory problems. He didn't know who Hakeem Jeffries was. He's saying that Kellyanne Conway is his press secretary. But the bigger problem is behavior. They start to behave erratically and aggressively in a disinhibited way, because as the frontal lobes are our brakes. Right. The frontal lobes are what keep us from killing each other on a daily basis, because the frontal lobes force us to think through our feelings and our actions. Once that starts to deteriorate, we just act.
Yeah.
Right. And so if somebody's got a fundamentally malevolent personality, they're going to start acting on those impulses in a more and more discontrolled and dangerous way. Look, even the way he started the way his language has become so much more coarse. Right. He didn't curse in his first administration. Right. But now he's saying, shut up, piggy, and, things like that, cursing, in that famous tweet to Iran, they fucking better, do what I want. They're those bastard lunatics or whatever, he's raving. You know what I mean? This is the ravings of someone who is losing even the most primitive internal controls. So think about this. He's an evil madman to begin with. He's lost all internal control, and he's established an administration where there's no external control. Okay, somebody just put in the comments, sounds like the Antichrist to me. I want to say I'm Jewish, okay, but I've sometimes only half jokingly said that Donald Trump has converted me to Christianity because I now believe in the Antichrist.
And scene. I have two questions for you. I'm going a little over with you. Thank you for being patient with me. Let's talk about your book. Tell me about it, because it also seems terrifying.
Yes. Now, this book, which was a massive commercial failure, this came out in 2018, Rocket Man, and it was about this fear of Trump and nuclear war. I'm just going to read you the concluding paragraph of my essay. I said, Trump might push the button because at a moment of crisis, he lacks the cognitive capacity to objectively and critically analyze data, look at a standoff from an adversary's point of view, since he appears to have no empathy, even when he was cognitively intact, or fashion creative alternatives to war. He might push the button because at times he appears to be in a true psychotic state, operating under the influence of grandiose and paranoid delusions, believing either that he is an invincible conqueror or that his adversary is imminently planning to attack when he is not. He might push the button because he is angry, impulsive, and determined to show the world who is boss by employing the ultimate power. As perverse as it sounds, Trump would revel in being the center of chaos and destruction. In a wag the dog scenario, he might push the button in a conscious, cynical calculation that while millions might die, war would distract from the Mueller investigation. I guess now we can say the Epstein investigation, and rally his base behind him as commander-in-chief and consolidate his power. He might push the button because he's egged on to do so by his uber-hawk war cabinet, who may throw gasoline on Trump's fire when they should be throwing buckets of cold water. Most likely, if doom awaits us, it will be some combination of these factors coming together in a perfect storm that will take us to DEFCON 1. In my opinion, Donald Trump is sick, and he is getting worse. As he goes further downhill, the risk of Armageddon skyrockets. The time to panic is now.
Oh, my God. My God. And what terrifies me is, as you were saying all of that, I feel like you were also describing Bibi Netanyahu, who I am terrified is going to bomb the Al-Aqsa Mosque or use a nuclear weapon on Iran, because he too is a malignant narcissist, and he's running a government where the only way to stay in power is to promise the even crazier people who got him in there that they can have greater Israel and eat up 5 other countries. And so he's doing anything. He's desperate. I'm afraid he might use a nuke too. Last question to you, and this was I'm sorry if it's a curveball. We try to get our producers to ask you in advance, but this Byron Noem thing, and you haven't. I don't know how much you have seen of the latest news on him today.
Much. Yeah.
But so what is it? What could cause a man who kind of had everything? He's a very public figure. He was the first gentleman of South Dakota to delve into such a risky behavior as going into chat rooms where he's being, he can be screenshotted in costumes with big breasts and is talking in a way that he could be recorded and was recorded by one of these people on the other side of the chat room. And just now he's being completely humiliated. He's humiliated his wife. What do you think could cause somebody to go there and take those kinds of risks?
I don't know the details about his case, and I haven't been following it that closely. But one thing I have noticed is, there's a kind of Caligula-like quality to this administration. That the level of sexual perversion and acting out and perversity, right? It really feels like the movie Caligula, right? Where and that is one of the signs of a civilization that's getting ready to fall is decadence. And it just seems like the level of sexual amorality and predatory and acting out behavior in this party is just off the map.
It is the Epstein class. That is the reason that we call them the Epstein class. They all are Jeffrey Epstein. Sadistic, bored, normal pursuits are not enough. In order to entertain themselves, they need violent sexual sadism just to be minimally entertained. I agree with you. And I think that's part of it. These are sadistic people. Dr. John Gartner, I hope you will come back often. It's terrifying to talk to you, honestly, but I still enjoy it for whatever reason. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. And we're gonna get that book into the shop, guys, because now I want to read it because I'm scared, but I also kind of want to read it. Oh my God, I'm terrified. All right, let's talk about, first of all, welcome to hour 2 of the Joy Reid Show. I want to note that we have so many amazing sponsors. Our other wonderful sponsor number 2, is our friends at Mosh. I'm going to open this box and see if I have any left, because y'all know what's happening in this house. You guys know how it goes. People be coming over here. Look, y'all. Okay, let me show you how much is left. Okay, y'all know how much was left last time we talked about this. The Joy Reid Show is brought to you by the snack I used to have that is all disappearing before my very eyes, our friends at Mosh. Now, listen, remember, you are what you eat, okay? Just remember that. You are what you eat, if you can get any to eat. And it rings very true to all of us in the modern day. And I'm always looking for an on-the-go protein snack, if I can get one, that satisfies me. But now I have found one that helps me live intentionally, and they are Mosh bars. So Mosh, which you may have heard of on Shark Tank or Oprah's Favorite Things, was founded by Maria Shriver and her son, Patrick Schwarzenegger, with a mission to spark a conversation about brain health through food, education, and research. Maria's father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And after that, they set out to create something bigger than just a protein bar. Mosh protein bars, which you can see here, are made with ingredients that support your brain and your body, like ashwagandha, lion's mane, omega-3s. Plus Mosh is the first and only food brand boosted with cognizin, which is a premium form of citicoline that supports focus, memory, and mental clarity. Lord knows we need that. They also taste amazing, as you can tell by the fact that they're being eaten up with 9 delicious flavors, including plant-based options in chocolate chip cookie, hazelnut chocolate chip, and peanut chocolate chip. I really actually do love the hazelnut chocolate chip. Very delicious. You can now try them yourself, and you can make them part of your wellness routine. You can get 25% off and free shipping on your first 15-count variety pack, and then 20% off for life on your monthly subscription. You can swap flavors anytime based on what you like best. You can keep your go-tos on repeat or just try something new. Your favorite functional fuel is delivered directly to your door, so you never run out. And supporting your brain health becomes a simple habit that you can feel good about. Mosh will donate a portion of the proceeds from your order to the Women's Alzheimer's Movement, because 2/3 of Alzheimer's patients happen to be women, and Mosh is working to close the gap. So if you all want to try it, find your favorites, build your boxes, all you have to do is head to moshlife.com/read and subscribe today to get 25% off your first variety pack and 20% off your monthly subscription with code REID. That's 25% off your first pack, 20% off your subscription of brain-boosting bars delivered right to your door. Start building your brain health every day with Mosh bars. Thank you to Mosh for sponsoring this episode. All right, so we're going to jump into hour 2 real quick. We have a lot going on. We're running a tiny bit behind, but we're going to start. Now, if you missed out, by the way, before I get to that, on the Joy's House Insiders conversation we just did yesterday on Substack with the great Ari Berman, do not worry. We have a bunch of shorts that are available right here on this channel, on the YouTube channel. But if you want in on the full conversations and you get to also ask questions of our experts, you can become a premium Substack subscriber to get in on those conversations. They are every Thursday at noon Eastern time. And we also have more premium stuff coming, including some live show stuff, some stuff that I won't tell you full things about, but lots of good stuff coming. All right. We're also trying to think of a Twitch-only stream very soon. I'm going to plan to do that. And we're preparing to turn 1 year old on June 9th. So again, we're trying to get to that 500,000 on YouTube, 250 on Substack. We're already at 397 on Twitch. So we're growing fast on Twitch, super, super fast. All right. So now if you're a history buff, that is the housekeeping for hour 2. Now, if you're a history buff, you will recall of this epic television moment, even if you weren't alive for it, you may know about it. In 1962, when the fabulous Jackie Kennedy, let's throw that up on screen. It's very fabulous. Look at Jackie Kennedy walking through the East Wing. Long may it wave. That no longer exists. Everything you're seeing there has been demolished by Donald Trump. But Jackie Kennedy walked through the East Wing to give a tour of the White House. CBS News produced it. They were so interested in talking to Jackie O and having her do this walkthrough of the White House and all the renovations that she had done, including her fabulous garden, that CBS actually produced it as a special, exclusively, this exclusive tour of the White House with the great Jackie Kennedy. Now, Miss Kennedy, of course, was one of our youngest ever first ladies. I think she was the 3rd youngest at the time and the most glamorous pre-Michelle Obama. What a different first lady, right? What a different time. And in this era, a very different first lady who also, by the way, has a passion for fashion, did her own dramatic White House walk this week, but it was a bit different. We're going to play it for you. I may pause as we go through it, but let's listen to this very different White House walkthrough.
Good afternoon. The lies linking me with the disgraceful Jeffrey Epstein need to end today. The individuals lying about me are devoid of ethical standards, humility, and respect. I do not object to their ignorance, but rather I reject their mean-spirited attempts to defame my reputation. I never been friends with Epstein. Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time.
Okay, can you pause there for a second, Jason? Can you pause there for a second? From time to time, you may be underestimating that just a little bit. They went to a lot of parties together, including some of them that were hosted literally at Mar-a-Lago, but go on.
Since overlapping in social circles is common in New York City and Palm Beach. To be clear, I never had a relationship with Epstein or his accomplice, Maxwell. My email reply to Maxwell cannot be categorized as anything more than casual correspondence. My polite reply to her email doesn't amount to anything more than a trivial note.
Can we stop there for just a second, Jason? So this email she's talking about, and it's not clear which one she's talking about, but there are emails in which she and Ghislaine Maxwell are exchanging some really, really close pleasantries about, oh, I can't wait to see you in Palm Beach, da, da, da. And I think at one point she's called like Sweet Pea. She's calling her, Ghislaine Maxwell calling her Sweet Pea. So if that's like a casual thing, I'm not sure people who I'm just in a casual relationship where we're not friends call me Sweet Pea, but all right, keep going.
I am not Epstein's victim. Epstein did not introduce me to Donald Trump. I met my husband by chance at a New York City party in 1998.
Let's stop there for just one moment. The New York City party in 1998, that is a consistent story, but the party was at the Kit Kat Club. She didn't mention that part, but that is where the party was. Keep going.
This initial encounter with my husband is documented in detail in my book, Melania.
Stop for a second. Did she just try to sell her book from the White House? Did she just literally try to get you to buy her book? What the? Okay, keep going.
The first time I crossed paths with Epstein was in the year 2000 at an event Donald and I attended together. At the time, I had never met Epstein and had no knowledge of his criminal undertakings. Numerous fake images and statements about Epstein and me have been circulating on social media for years now.
Stop for a second. That is true. Actually, I went through Snopes today, and there are a bunch of images that are popping up all over social media. There's one of her like hugging Epstein, and it's like a picture that looks like a magazine. Not real. Like there are a bunch of fake images of her and Epstein. That actually is true. Keep going.
Be cautious about what you believe. These images and stories are completely false. I'm not a witness or a named witness in connection with any of Epstein's crimes. My name has never appeared in court documents, depositions, victim statements, or FBI in interviews surrounding the Epstein matter.
Okay, let's stop there for a moment. Because that's a reveal, because you know whose name has appeared in court documents, depositions, and FBI files? Her husband. Keep going.
I have never had any knowledge of Epstein abuse of his victims. I was never involved in any capacity. I was not a participant, was never on Epstein's plane, and never visited his private island. I have never been legally accused or convinced of a crime in connection with Epstein's sex trafficking, abuse of minors, and other repulsive behavior.
Stop for a second. Because you know who has been accused of a crime involving sexual abuse, including of minors, and not proven, but accused? Her husband. Keep going.
The false smears about me from mean-spirited and politically motivated individuals and entities looking to cause damage to my good name, to gain financially and climb politically, must stop. My attorneys and I have fought these unfounded and baseless lies with success and will continue to maintain my sound reputation without hesitation. To date, several individuals and companies have been legally obligated to publicly apologize and retract their lies about me, such as Daily Beast, James Carville, and HarperCollins, UK. Now is the time for Congress to act. Epstein was not alone. Several prominent male executives resigned from their powerful positions after this matter became widely politicized. Of course, this doesn't amount to guilt, but we still must work openly and transparently to uncover the truth. I call on Congress to provide the women who have been victimized by Epstein with a public hearing specifically centered around the survivors. Give these victims their opportunity to testify under oath in front of Congress with the power of sworn testimony. Each and every woman should have her day to tell her story in public if she wishes, and then her testimony should be permanently entered into the congressional record. Then, and only then, we will have the truth. Thank you.
Okay, we can leave it there. Oh, I mean, talk about taking an issue that Donald Trump had driven off the front pages by starting a whole ass war and putting it right back on the front page by contradicting your husband and saying, I haven't done the things that he literally has been accused of. Baby, I want to know what's going on here. Now, what are some of the things that are true about what she said? She has told a consistent story about how she and Donald Trump met when she was 28 years old and he was 52. Let's look at this Larry King clip from back in the day. This is from 2005.
Trump, Melania Trump, the international cover girl, has now joined us. We got to discuss the media. How did you two meet?
We met in New York, 1998, It was a fashion week, September 1998.
The famous fashion week.
The famous fashion week in
Were
New
you
York.
introduced?
Well, no, we were both at the same party, and that's how we met. He came to
right
me.
away?
I went crazy. I said, I was actually supposed to meet somebody else, and there was this great supermodel sitting next to Melania, and I was supposed to meet this supermodel, and they were saying, look, there's so-and-so. I said, forget about her. Who's the one on the left? And it was Melania.
Did you like him right away?
It was a great chemistry and energy. We had, great time. We started to talk, and, it was something was there right away.
And it was a long engagement.
It was.
Why?
Well, we just had a great time, and we didn't worry about it, and, just live lives. And then one day, surprise.
How did the proposal take place?
Well, we were together.
Give it to us.
We were together 5 years. We literally have never had an argument, or forget about the word fight. We never even had an argument. We just are very compatible. We get along. And I just said, you know what, it's time. And it wasn't a big deal. It was almost like it was obvious.
You know what, it's time?
No, I did it a little better than that, without going into too much detail. But it was time, and we just have a very good relationship.
And Melania, by the way, is on the latest the cover of Weddings from InStyle magazine. You're the wedding cover.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
And she's on the cover of Vogue.
That's right. Also.
That was before. Yeah, that came out before the wedding, a few days before.
Did you want that elaborate a wedding?
Yes, when I started planning, it was a lot of fun. So I loved it. I loved my dress. I had a great time in Paris. I went with my great friend, Andre Leontali. He's an amazing man. And we went to Paris for 1 week to the shows, and with Anna Wintour, the editor of Vogue.
What was the wedding like?
Fantastic. We had a great time.
I had to
we
work.
missed you.
I see. I had to work. I had to work.
We missed you. Ha, 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 ha. We waited a long time. What happened? Why did you wait? She became a citizen in 2006. The negotiations took about 4 years before we figured out what she was going to get. She was 28. He was 52. And that didn't even look like a young 52. Like, he didn't even look like a preserved 52. He looked 72. But he was only 52. Come on now. And one more clip. Because what took so long for them to for him to put a ring on it and finally get her to agree, for a 28-year-old woman to agree to marry this 52-year-old? I wonder what they were talking about.
Did ask you to marry him, would you say yes?
No, I don't want to comment about that.
You don't want to comment on that? You said that before, that you said yes, you would say yes. I mean, it's in the publications that I read.
Yes, but that was misunderstood or something. So I didn't. So you changed your mind. You don't want to marry the guy. I didn't change my mind, but I just don't want to go out with it.
Donald Trump's name is synonymous with a lot of things, but not the least of which is the phrase prenuptial agreement. You know what that is?
Yes, I know what is it.
Given his history with acrimonious divorces, with bitter divorces, would you even consider signing one with him?
Everybody has different opinions. So let's see what's happened.
Different opinions about
the prenuptial agreement, about sign it, not to sign it. Everybody decided what is inside of them.
So you're not ruling out anything?
No.
Can you picture yourself the First Lady?
Yes, I will be very traditional, like Jackie Kennedy. I will support him. I will do a lot of social obligations.
They say I'm complicit. I'm the same like him. I support him. I don't say enough. I don't do enough. No. Where I am, I'm working like a my ass off. I know. Christmas stuff that, who gives a about Christmas stuff and decoration, but I need to do it, right? Yeah, but 100%. You have no choice. And then I do it, and I say that I'm working on Christmas, planning for the Christmas, and they said, oh, what about the children, that they were separated? Give me a break.
If you did become First Lady, it probably wouldn't be ethical for you to give commercial endorsements to products.
Melania Trump has entered the cryptocurrency world with her own meme coin, Melania. Announced just before Donald Trump's second inauguration, Melania shared the news on X, inviting people to purchase the coin. Despite their popularity, both Melania and Trump coins are noted as not being investment opportunities. Since their launch, both Melania and Trump coins have experienced volatile trading. The Trump coin briefly dipped in value before rebounding. Currently, Trump's market valuation is around $12 billion, while Melania's stands at over $2 billion.
So your modeling career might be over at that moment. What would you think about that?
I will stand by man.
You'd be willing to give up your modeling career?
Yes.
Have you been hurt by the comments that you're with him because he's rich?
You know, the people, they don't know me. People who talk like this, they don't know me.
Well, you don't see many 26-year-old supermodels on the arm of 53-year-old car mechanics.
You know what? You can't sleep or to hug or to talk with beautiful things, with beautiful apartment, beautiful plane, beautiful cars, beautiful houses. You can't do that. You could feel very empty.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody said, you know, you're with a man because it's rich and famous, they don't know me.
Who gives a about Christmas stuff and decoration? But I need to do it, right?
You can't sleep with beautiful house, beautiful car. Joining me now is Tommy Christopher, Associate Managing Editor of Mediaite.
Oh my God.
Tommy, let's talk about it. Yes, I got you. Thank you. Welcome to the show. This has been a strange moment. You're a media editor there at Mediaite. I want to show you really quickly Fox's reaction to that very strange press conference and get your take on it. Here it is, Jason, this is C5.
Peter, we don't know why. It looks like the White House was blindsided by this, right?
I don't think blindsided, but it seems like there was not a big plan for the message to change from a wartime message and peace talks in Pakistan to this. And yesterday, all morning, we were getting calls from the afternoon shows that that this statement was going to air during. What's the topic? What's it going to be about? And I was asking in the West Wing, and they said, we don't know. We're not sure. And so
came out of left field for us here covering the White House. The press shop did not give us any insight into what this announcement would be about. That's typical. Oftentimes, the First Lady doesn't share a lot of details with the White House communications shop that covers the president on what her announcements might be. We didn't, for instance, get a lot of details ahead of her prior announcement on her efforts bringing home Ukrainian children. But similarly, we had no heads up on this. We're not getting any information from them now, including whether or not the president was aware she would be making this statement. It's unclear to us if she is reacting to something or that's already happened, already.
Or trying to get ahead of something is what they said. Yeah. How unusual is it for Fox to be that nonplussed when it comes to the Trumps? I mean, normally their default is obedience and praise, but they seem very much thrown off.
Yeah, I mean, the problem here was, like, when he did that thing about how he was going to kill the entire civilization of Iran, like, they didn't have to, like, come out with anything about that right away. They could sit there and let that sit for a while, but this, she was just like, bam, here I am. And it's like they couldn't ignore it. And yeah, it was quite a scramble. And, I mean, everybody was shocked because, I mean, you said it yourself. The story had been, taken off of the front pages. And, people like you, me, and our friends were struggling to get people to pay attention to this. And now all of a sudden, thanks, Melania.
And the way she put it back on the front page is to say, I've not done the things that literally Donald Trump has been accused of, right? I mean, he's in FBI records with interviews of women who claim he abused them as children. She says she's never been accused of a crime. He's been convicted of one. He has a 23, I believe, sexual abuse and various ranges of abuse accusers. E. Jean Carroll won a civil case against him for sexual abuse. You could go on and on and on, but she's distancing himself from him in a very public way, in a way that it's not clear that he had a heads up on.
No, well, yeah, it sounds to me like apparently Melania's team told the New York Times that he was given a heads up, but that doesn't really mean much. No. I mean, just because she was like, oh, by the way, doesn't mean there was anything he could do about it, or that he had a lot of time to do anything about it, or that he told any of his people about it. But yeah, it's crazy. I think the instinct that, I mean, I think even Fox News said it, the instinct that people have that there's something coming is the correct instinct, that there is a story that they're trying to get out ahead of. Yeah, it is interesting that she did not get her story straight with Trump, and she obviously coordinate this ahead of time. Even if she
you have to coordinate. Like John Witherspoon said, you have to coordinate. They don't seem to have coordinated. And also, there's no way they could coordinate. She's basically saying, I didn't know him. I only met him at parties with Donald. He's Donald's problem. And the thing is, she sort of said what Hillary Clinton said, right? That the women, the victims need to have their day in court. There needs to be congressional hearings. People need to be deposed on the record. She's calling for hearings. So it's different if, you know, when Hillary called for hearings, she's not first lady anymore. She's not a public official or secretary of state anymore. Melania is the sitting first lady. It's really, to me, awkward for Republicans to say no to hearings when it's Melania asking for them, right? I mean, there's some things that, you know, I played some video that shows that maybe the long wait between the engagement and the actual marriage was because she was doing that prenup. She was negotiating that prenup to make sure she was going to get paid. But, you know, there's things you could say about her, whatever, but the reality is she actually has now made the highest profile demand for formal hearings, and she is the top Republican woman in the country.
Yeah, no, that is something. I mean, she did it clumsily because, you know, I mean, as we've all seen, you know, the survivors are up in arms about this. They're like, and how dare you try to put this on us? But you're right. It is something in that it puts the Republicans on the spot. But what would have been better would have been for her to say, we need hearings with people who are in the files. And she didn't have to necessarily mention Trump, but if she would have said, these people that are in the files and the people at the Justice Department who messed this up, they need to be public hearings, that would have been quite another thing. But you know what? If Democrats are smart, which is a big if, they will take this and run with it and scoop all that into the same ball.
That's right. I mean, it would have been more powerful if she was standing with victims, Epstein victims, but I'm sure they didn't want to stand with her, right? I mean, this is about like her bringing home Ukrainian children. Like, where are the children at? I don't think she did that either. Let's also talk. I want to stay on Fox for just a moment, because the other sort of awkward place that Fox is in now is that the base of the Republican Party is not down with the war, at least according to even Fox polls. So here is a little bit of Fox themselves on the comfy couch in the morning expressing what seemed to be doubts.
Say that the president's demands, we have not reached any of those objectives. I have full confidence that the president is going to find some way to make this happen. But he said that we want to dismantle all major nuclear facilities. That has not happened. The end of uranium enrichment on the soil, they're still enriching. The transfer of the enriched uranium stockpiles out of Iran, that hasn't happened. The acceptance of intrusive international inspections, they're still not willing to do that. And they have not suspended their ballistic missiles program. They're still firing them off to stop the production of the long-range missiles. That's just a few of them on the president's proposal. The question is the president using this 2 weeks to give our soldiers a break, a rest, to see if we can get this ultimately done? We'll see.
Two questions. Number one, how unusual is it for you to hear that kind of doubt on Fox? And number two, how long before that brother it gets called DEI in a Trump Truth Social rant and gets fired for being a black?
Yeah, no, I mean, well, you know, I guess, you know, we could probably help him out with that by blowing that up a little bit. But you know, I don't want to name names, but there have been times where I've picked something out that somebody said just because I figured that it would send Trump off the deep end, and it has worked on multiple occasions. So Lawrence, I don't know, man.
According to Dr. John Gartner, that's not hard to do since Trump is a malignant narcissist and maybe insane. But I mean, the doubts thing is real, because what you're seeing in, you know, right-wing media, the right-wing podcast world, the Tucker Carlson, Candace Owen, Nick Fuentes, that world, they're not on the same page. Megyn Kelly said that she doesn't care what Donald Trump does. If he nukes Iran, she's still voting Republican. She's a shill for the Republican Party. Donald Trump humiliated her over the weekend, said she and Tucker are stupid. They're stupid people. She'll still be kissing his ass tomorrow. It's what she does for a living. But I mean, how much of a sort of rift are you seeing on the media right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens over the next 2 weeks, because there is Lawrence, as an example, there's a safe space where, yes, he expressed doubt, but he did it gently, and he's sort of trying to like walk the line between Trump and Trump's fans, because Fox News needs Trump, but they also need Trump's fans, and so they've really got to walk a line there. It's going to get harder the more that this rift develops. But you're right. It's hard for me to see that a lot of these people who are MAGA are going to just abandon Trump and be like, well, okay, we don't hate trans people anymore, because that's not how it works. They will stick with him as long as he hates the same people they hate. And if they've got to, swallow, a temporary argument over this war, then that's what they'll do. But
we'll see. Well, on that, Jason, let's make a little pivot here, because I have to show you guys my shirt. I'm going to stand up here and I'm going to show you guys my shirt. This is my "Where in the World is Carolyn Gallego" shirt. Carolyn Gallego is one of Donald Trump's many pseudonyms, where he would pseudonymously try to promote himself when he would pretend to be his own publicist. And one of his alleged sort of other versions of himself was Carolyn Gallego. And so I find that a fun story to have. I happen to wear the shirt. It's a shirt that's in the shop, by the way. Yes, it is. But I happened to wear it today just because I thought it was fun, because I went to get my hair done. Thank you for the compliments on my hair. I went to the hairstylist. I was like, let me look cute. But we have now gotten some new information about someone else who likes to dress up and maybe dress up as a lady. And that would be, I don't know if he dressed up as Carolyn Gallego. He just used the voice Carolyn, allegedly used the name Carolyn Gallego. I don't know if he dressed up. But Byron Noem. Let's talk about that. Let's play a little bit of that Daily Mail exclusive audio of Byron.
And I would bow to you.
What if people saw us together?
I don't give a fuck.
Not even if you got recognized?
I don't care. You know what I want?
What?
To be seen with you.
Yeah?
I don't give a fuck about anything else.
Yeah.
It's time we be seen together.
You told me you loved me, didn't you?
I do love you.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
So much better than your wife, aren't I?
You're so much better.
You can't live without me, can you?
I can't.
Just so weak and desperate for me.
Yes, God. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
What a good boy.
Oh my God. This is a left-wing dominatrix named Shai Sotomayor, who apparently was the goddess and dominatrix of Byron Noem. How much does the right, what does the right even do with this information?
I don't know, but I got to say, well, first of all, I thought his name was Byron, so thank you for correcting me there.
It's
But
Bryon, so I pronounce that Byron.
So I am 100% Team Byron. First of all, Shai never shot no puppy. Okay?
Fair.
And so right then and there, she's got it all over Christie. But look, yeah, I don't know. That's the real question. The real question is how do right-wingers handle this? Because I feel like, people like us, what the hell do I care what Byron Noem does? And you know what? From what I understand, he had there was some making up to do for some shit that she did. And so,
allegedly, that she allegedly had a very long-term relationship, allegedly, with the man who then became her junior subordinate at the Department of Homeland Security, Corey Lewandowski, for years. And that rumor, which of course we cannot substantiate whether they were having a sexual affair, but she refused to answer the question when she was asked it directly by a member of Congress. And that rumor goes back to when she was South Dakota governor. She didn't say no.
Yeah, no.
That's humiliating him, right? Like,
I feel like somebody walked over my grave when you said sexual affair. I'm like, oh.
I know, because first of all,
don't put that in my head. I'd rather look at
her face is as false as Brian's fake boobies.
Okay. Well, here's the thing about, here's the other thing that's sort of like messing me up about this story is her name is Shai Sotomayor, but that's her real name. And she uses a stage name. And I'm like, how do you not use Shai Sotomayor? That's an
I'm
awesome
with you on
name.
that. I agree.
That's an awesome name. Like Supreme Court kink all the way, man. You know? But
and
no,
she's
look,
5 feet tall with 2,500 cc implants. That means she is as wide as she is tall, or she sticks out as
5
much as
feet
she
tall,
stands
whether
up.
she's standing up or laying down. Yep.
Correct. That is
Good for
very
her.
interesting.
Good for her and good for Brian. And you know, this is the thing. Like, I don't really care what consenting adults do in private, and you know, what happens, you know, between married couples. It can be heartbreaking and it's personal and whatever, but also fuck Kristi Noem, she killed a dog, and her goons killed Americans. And
That's
so,
right.
you know, I hope Brian didn't sign a prenup. You know, I hope he gets all of it. I hope he gets half of that plane. You know?
He needs some money for his implants, and I hope he gets it from. I'm with you. I hope he takes her for everything, Kristi, for everything she's got based on infidelity, takes all her money and uses it to buy his implants and go ahead and get with his Sotomayor, his
Live
queen.
his best life with Shai Sotomayor. You know, man, they could play they could be like the hot bench. You know.
They could have a boobie off. They could have which one is the bigger cup
Yeah,
size?
man.
They could share a bra.
He could be like Elena Kagan.
He could be Elena Kagan. Make it stop. All right, Tommy. Let's move on. Let's move on real quick because while I still have you, White House Correspondents Association. This is something I vowed to really honestly never go back to because at a certain point it feels very self-congratulatory, this thing. And it can, you sit there and you sort of listen to the last really good one was when President Obama mocked Donald Trump in 2011. I was actually at that one. It was really funny. We now have this situation where the White House Correspondents Association, I guess, fearful of having a comedian make Trump sad. Amber Ruffin was unceremoniously fired from being the White House Correspondents Association comedian because they were afraid she was going to say something mean to Trump, which is literally her job if she's the comedian.
Definitely.
They've now hired a mentalist. A mentalist.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what a mentalist is. His name is Oz Perlman, and he will be doing some magic for the audience.
I don't want to crap on this guy. He's probably a professional and a good entertainer. It's a mentalist is like, did you see that movie Now You See Me? It's like the Woody Harrelson guy in that. And I mean, I'm sure he's whatever, you know. I'm not going to hate on an entertainer who's out there doing it, you know, doing his thing. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
What's disgraceful is the White House Correspondents Association, which, by the way, I am glad they never got a fucking penny of dues out of me, because they are. All apologies to any friends who are currently officers. It's not your fault, I guess, or maybe it is. I don't know. Whatever. Useless. Completely useless.
Yes.
What have they done when Trump has it's been an all-out assault, and you know, assaulting entire organizations, assaulting individual reporters? What did the White House correspondents do for every time he goes after Caitlin Collins like a fucking piranha? Okay, what do? What do any of them do? They're
calling women piggy, calling reporters piggy. Yes. What have they done when? Go on.
On the plane, there wasn't a single person on that plane that said a goddamn thing.
That's
right. Or
right.
afterward, it's crazy. So I mean, fuck the White House Correspondents Association, and you know, like they you know, they hired. This is not the first. Remember after Stephen Colbert did it to George W. Bush, I think the next year they had Rich Little. At least Rich Little's a comedian.
Yeah. But, they're too scared. Yeah. And by the way, the FCC chair is currently still attacking CNN. You've got Don Lemon arrested. You've got Georgia Ford arrested, journalists being arrested, and they're so scared of the regime. Comedians are braver. You've got Jimmy Kimmel still going hard. You've got, you know, Stephen Colbert still going hard, Jon Stewart, all the rest. But they're so scared of him that they're like, we can't have a comedian. We need a mentalist. And look, I just hope that he guesses the Signal, you know, the Signal chat password for Pete Hegseth so we can find out who they're going to bomb next. Before I let you go, last comment, the fact that Colbert is going to be replaced apparently at CBS. The Late Show's being cashiered, and they're now going to have Byron Allen's Comics Unleashed, which to my understanding pays for the time.
Oh, I didn't know that part of it, but well, that makes it less. You know, I was sort of struggling with it because you know, Byron Allen is a very impressive dude, and I think I might. I can't remember it. I think I might be a little bit older than you, Joy. I don't know if you remember Byron from back in the.
Everyone's older than me, Tommy. Everyone.
Yes.
Go on.
I don't know if you remember Byron Allen from back in the
Real people.
days.
Yeah.
But if you would have told me that the guy that sat next to Skip Thompson or whatever his name is was going to end up being a billionaire, a media mogul, I would have been like, what? So, I mean, cool. You know, hats off to Byron Allen for what he has accomplished.
Agreed.
And look, if he's paying for the time, that's, you know, I mean, whatever, good for him.
I'll have to check that. I can double check that. Don't quote me, but I understand that that's sort of the arrangement that's made, that CBS is going to make money on the deal. We'll see what happens. Tommy Christopher, you're great. Thank you very much. And we're going to follow everything you're doing on Media. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Well, the Joy Reid Show, we got to give you one more ad sponsor, brought to you by our friends at Helix. Now, listen, getting a good night's sleep, literally key to having a decent life. Because if you're sore at night and your arm is numb because you're sleeping on your side, because you're sleeping on your back and you get a leg cramp, ruins the next part of your day. A good night's sleep sets you up for a great next day. And so listen, I am an insomniac. And so I'm a person that has struggled with sleep. I always struggle with falling asleep, staying asleep. I happen to get up in the middle of the night 10 times. And so having the right mattress is literally a game changer. And Helix literally helps you sleep better. A study has found that 82% of those involved in a study on those who slept on a Helix mattress saw an increase in their deep sleep cycle while sleeping on that mattress. It is an amazing, again, game changer. For those with multiple, for those of you who need to sleep better and need to change out your old mattress because you want to start over this year in the year of our Lord 2026, even though it's the middle of the year, it's spring, never too late. Helix offers free shipping and seamless delivery. They deliver your mattress right to your door. Free shipping in the United States, 120-night sleep trial, limited lifetime warranty. The Happy with Helix guarantee means you're going to rest easy with seamless returns and exchanges. And that guarantee means it's a risk-free, customer-first experience designed to ensure that you are completely satisfied with your new mattress and that you get a great night's sleep. It's an award-winning mattress, the most award-winning mattress brand, tested and reviewed by experts at places like Forbes and Wired. If you want to try a Helix, as we have, and I'm super excited, whole new life, go to helixsleep.com/joy for 20% off site-wide. That's helixsleep.com/joy for 20% off site-wide. Make sure you enter our show name, The Joy Reid Show, after checkout so they know that we sent you. All right, let's stay on this Melania situation. Let me show you this 2017 email between Michael Wolff and Jeffrey Epstein cackling about rumors that Melania might have a boyfriend. Joining us now to discuss all things Melania is Lev Parnas, our good friend, Lev from Lev Remembers. Lev, and who's also running for Congress in the great state of Florida. Okay, Lev, we just want the tea, buddy. Tell us, why in the world is Melania doing that press conference? Why'd she do it?
Well, it's a combination of things, but she did because, remember this name, Amanda Ungaro. Amanda Ungaro is a female victim. She's a female victim that basically got into that world when she was 16 years old as a model. She ended up marrying Paolo Zamboli. Paolo Zamboli, for those of you that might not know, is one of Donald Trump's close friends, but also I think works for his administration in some part or another right now.
Wasn't he a modeling agent at some point?
He was actually. He was Melania's modeling agent. Actually, he was Melania's modeling agent. He's the one that brought her over. He ran the modeling agencies in Miami, Florida, New York, and very involved in that. So the story goes basically, he got married to Amanda, and then they got separated. They were having not divorce or separation, and there was
she's a model too. Sorry to interrupt you, but she's a Brazilian model, I believe. She's a very beautiful Brazilian model.
Beautiful Brazilian model. And it's interesting because she's been giving interviews right now talking about how she first met them when she was 16 years old, how she saw all these young models, how she was introduced, how Zamboli, when he first introduced her to Epstein, he was telling her that Epstein's a very good guy, and and she's doing all of this. And by the way, Joy, we're actually actually, I've been in talks. We're trying to get Amanda to come on. I'm actually first trying to get her right now to give sworn testimony to the House Oversight Committee, and then trying to get her on to tell her story, because she is ready to scorch earth, basically, on some of the stuff. Because she's been there. She's different than the rest of them, because she actually saw Melania and Donald's relationship. She's been there for 20 years. She's seen, speaking to some of my sources that know both of them very well, I'm getting records of all the events they've been to together. And, even when Trump, in his first administration, when he won the presidency, very close. And then what happened was, basically, they got into a fight, and Zamboli came to Trump in this administration and asked him for a favor to have his Gestapo ICE agents basically arrest Amanda, which they did. She was arrested at ICE and basically deported, where she is now in Brazil. And Zamboli kept the child here in the United States. So putting this aside for a second, simultaneously, our great, incredible workers like Ellie Leonard and others have been also doing some great reporting journalists work about Michael Wolff. And Michael Wolff, with these tapes that he has, over 100 hours of tapes, one of those tapes actually talking about where Michael Wolff said that where he says that Melania slept with Donald Trump on his plane. He also says
on Epstein's plane.
On Epstein's plane, correct. So Melania yesterday comes out and makes a lot of statements, a lot of false statements. One of those statements that also is very right now that I'm hearing, there's a lot, and I'm going to connect the dots, but I'm just trying to get you a lot of information that throughout the day I've been getting, is also I'm now hearing that Paolo Zamboli, because Trump's now putting a lot of pressure on him, because now he's getting this heat because of all of his stuff. And he's saying that now he's willing to go testify in front of Congress and basically perjure himself and say that he introduced Melania to Donald Trump. But here's the sticking point, because Melania herself has come out on several shows. Larry King, we have video of all over the way. And Melania says that nobody introduced her, that she met Donald Trump at a Fashion Week party
at the Kit Kat Club.
Well, no, she says not the Kit Kat. That's where
she says it's not the Kit Kat Club.
No, Zamboni says he introduced them at the Kit Kat Club.
Oh.
Melania says she met Donald Trump at a Fashion Week party, not at the Kit Kat Club.
And we played that audio just a little while ago before you got on, Lev. We played that video of Larry King interviewing Donald and Melania Trump in 2005 when they had gotten married after a 5-year courtship, in which it seems to me, just from me just watching the videos in order from 99 on, that they were negotiating that prenup. Because she was asked about the prenup in 99, and she said, "Oh, you can love," blah, 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 blah. But she was like probably waiting for her money, right? She gets the wedding. She gets Andre Leon Talley helping her get her gown, all the stuff, getting on the cover of Vogue, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if it was on the cover. The Clintons went to the wedding. It was a huge wedding. But she did say in that interview that they met at a party, and she was sitting at a table. Donald Trump saw her and was supposed to meet another supermodel, which I don't believe, and met her.
Stop right there for a second. Think about what you just said. Think about Donald Trump said, listen to this, is interesting, because Donald Trump says in his own words that he was supposed to be introduced to her. So somebody was supposed to introduce him to a different supermodel that was sitting next to Melania. And he said, stop. I don't want to meet her. Who's that? Who was that person making the introduction? See how their stories.
Can we play this? I'm sorry. Hold on.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, keep going. We're gonna see if we can pull it. Go ahead.
We'll see if you can pull it. But see, because these little, if you take these little words, because he says, I came there and I was supposed to be introduced to this fine supermodel, but when I saw Melania sitting there, I said, forget about her. Who's her? And that made the introduction.
C3, Jason, whenever you can. C3. Sorry, C3 whenever you can.
And I think that was Jeffrey Epstein, because that's what Wolff says. Wolff says Jeffrey Epstein made the introduction at an event. So we're linking the dots here, Joy. I'm telling you.
Whoa! You just blew my mind, Lev Parnas, once again. Wait, you got it, Jason? Okay, Jason, play it.
Trump, Melania Trump, the international cover girl, has now joined us. We got to discuss the media. How did you two meet?
We met in New York, 1998. It was a fashion week, September 1998.
The famous fashion week.
The famous fashion week in
Were
New
you
York.
introduced?
Well, no, we were both at the same party, and that's how we met. He came to
right
me.
away?
I went crazy. I said, I was actually supposed to meet somebody else, and there was this great supermodel sitting next to Melania. I was supposed to meet this supermodel, and they were saying, look, there's so-and-so. I said, forget about her. Who's the one on the left? And it was Melania.
You like
Okay, you can stop. You can stop there. You can stop there.
You see how he says, you see, the guy said, look, here's so-and-so. And I said, stop. Who is her? Boom. Boom.
Well, hold on. Oh, wait a minute. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just the beginning, Joy. This is they are scrambling at the White House, and that is why today you're also starting to hear reporting of Donald Trump starting to issue preemptive pardons. Today, they literally, before I came on your show, my son actually, I think, broke, so that Donald Trump is now, there's official conversation in the White House about preemptive pardons that they're talking about, because there is chaos. Because right now, Donald Trump needs to keep people in line, and everything is coming out. And it's and it's gonna, and this Epstein file is going to be the downfall of a lot of people.
Why would Melania want to make this all come out? Because she's saying in her press conference, I didn't commit a crime. I've never been interviewed by the FBI. I've never been accused of crimes. And she lists things that literally Donald Trump has been accused of. And she took one giant step away from him. Do you know why she decided to open this can of worms?
Well, they're trying to be preemptive. First of all, they're trying to also use to bury it in certain media cycle, even though, they understand it's a big story, but also you have the Iran war happening right now, peace talks happening. There's a lot of major media cycles that coming out. The second reason is because this is the person that is now telling him that she's Amanda Burr. She is different than the rest because she was like Melania. She went through the same system. Like, see, a lot of people forget that Melania, before she met Donald Trump, she was also a 16-year-old girl that traveled in Paris and friends and met Zamboli and came over during that era. So she came over the same way as Amanda did. They were they also, similar like Amanda, ended up marrying these powerful people and ended up staying in that circle. And that's what's different, because they continued being now as wives and as girlfriends, seeing the crimes continue happening. Because, it was still, it was okay. They looked the other way because they made it. It's like, we made it. Whatever doesn't happen, I don't know, I don't see, and they're trying to now distance themselves from it. And that's why Amanda also, Amanda for many years didn't come out and say anything. I mean, and now, she's coming out and saying it for whatever reason, but now the truth is coming out.
Well, she's probably saying it because she's now in a fight, a custody fight with Zamboli, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, 100%.
And for her immigration status.
Her immigration, they took her child away, and a mother scorned. I'm sorry, anybody that knows that, don't mess with mama wolves. You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
That you don't, mama bears, mama wolves. I'm sorry,
Amen.
You cross the line on that. And so, and she knows. See, this is the whole thing. She spent 20 years with them, Joy. These are close friends. Just think about, I say, what I say to myself like this. I spent 4 years inside of Trump world, and I say to myself, think about all the stuff I know. Just think about all of the things I've been privy to. And I'm not even as close to as like somebody like Amanda Bird that literally was married, had kids, but so she knows a lot. And so Melania coming out and saying that, and that's why she used another very key word. She said, "I'm not Epstein's victim." Because she was Epstein's victim. She's trying to differentiate. They're trying to change the story, because for Donald Trump also, there's a very big thing, for those type of men, it's like a pride thing. Like, God forbid she would have slept with Epstein and then he would have like married her. It's that, sick, disgusting, powerful men world of the 90s that they had to be. So there's a lot of things. And with Donald Trump, listen, it's like everything else, Joy. He's trying to change history. He's trying to.
So you think he was behind the press? You think he knew she was going to do that walkout, and he was
1,000,000%. Not do I think, I know they helped to write the letter. She didn't. Who do you think? You think Melania wrote that script? You think? And
not unless she copied it from Michelle Obama.
Exactly. Like, good one there, Joy. But think about also strategically, because what was written in that script was strategically to turn, she played that role, like she's supporting the victims, but at the same time she was attacking the victims and the survivors by saying, you go put your story, we want you. She didn't come out and say, I want Donald Trump. She didn't. If she really was an advocate for truth, she should have came out and said, I want to go and testify on the record, not do some statement, because what she did there, she lied. She lied about a lot of things. And I think right now, because she opened that can of worms, and I spoke to a couple of Congress people today, I'm going to Washington, D.C. next week to put more pressure. They need to subpoena Melania. They need to forget about subpoena, put the pressure on her and 100%. Say, Melania, you need to come. We want to talk to you. We want to talk to you. You know what I'm saying to you?
And the thing about it is, you go through the timeline. She meets Donald Trump in the heart of his Epstein era. When she met Donald Trump was best friends with Epstein. We know they were best friends in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. So this is the heart of the Epstein era. She admits they met in like 1998. She was 26 years old. That's when she says they met. We have the documentary evidence that she's on tape saying it, right? And then she doesn't marry him. You have that 1999 interview on ABC where she's sort of coy about a prenup and says, oh, you can, but she doesn't answer the question of whether she'd want a prenup and what would it take for her to marry this 52-year-old man as a 28-year-old woman. And it's clear that she wants the prenup to include a lot of money for herself. She marries him in 2005. 1 year later, she gets a genius visa. She got a genius visa immediately. She gets her citizenship the year after Donald Trump marries her. So she got a lot out of this. She got her mother's citizenship. She got her sister into the country, not just herself. She got all three of them in, and she got to be rich. And all she had to do was, I guess, not see what she was seeing.
Well, exactly. It's like, once, it's a sad, world, but it's like, when you have a lot of, people that are trying to get, once they make it, they don't care. It's like, they don't care about the rest. It's like, now I'm on a different level. And that is why I keep saying why Amanda Umberto is such an important individual, because she made it just like Melania. She also was like Melania. She also went through all of that stuff. She also seen all of it. And she was married to Melania's agent. She's married to. So think about some of those bedroom stories just think about 20 years of the stuff that Paolo would have told and confided into her, and that now, you know what I'm saying, Joy?
And it's impossible to believe, that Melania is with Donald Trump, dating him in 1998, 99, when he's best friends with Epstein, and says she never met him. She didn't know him. They weren't friends. They just were invited to the same parties. Bullshit. Trump was throwing parties and having Epstein over his house. Of course she knew him.
And they got pictures of hanging each other. Not only that, but Epstein and Zamboni, they were friends. They were all, it was the same Epstein.
It's the same crowd.
It's the same.
And also Brett Ratner, who was obviously in Epstein's circle, he just directed her movie.
And I'm telling you, Ellie's on vacation, but I'm going to get the wolf pack on it. That video of the Larry King, we're going to track it down to what party they met at, who threw that party, and who's that person that Trump said, hey, not this one, but this one. Somebody was there making that introduction. And I have a good feeling that was Epstein. Because in 1998, like you said it yourself, that was the height.
I mean, it could have been Casablanca. I mean, you think of a small number of people. Jean-Luc Brunel, who's in France, John Casablancas, who was Donald Trump's other dear friend, Jeffrey Epstein. These are the people who were rolling in those circles, in Paolo Zampoli. Like, there's a small group of men that were hanging out, that were all in that modeling world. It's a small number of people. You don't have to do a lot of research. You research 4 people.
Absolutely. And the reason why I keep going back and thinking it's Epstein is because of connecting the dots with what Wolf has. Because if you take a look at what Wolf now brings to the table, and then it all starts to connect the dots, because, you hear Epstein, saying in his own words, even if you don't believe everything Epstein says, even if you take bits and pieces, I mean, 1 + 1 = 2. I mean, it's as simple as that. You can't, you could call it whatever you want, but it is what it is.
So I texted you before and asked you this question of, there's a person whose name is sort of like shortened as C2. Do you have any idea who that is? Because if you read the Epstein emails, they keep doing = C2. Do you know who that could be?
Actually, I'm going to get you that answer. I'm looking into that, and we're going to get you that answer. I don't have it for you right now, but actually, I want to give you some good news, some breaking news.
Please.
I think Artemis just broke this, and it's about to drop, and safely. Yes, Artemis 2 is about 4 miles. So yeah, I'm watching it land right now. This is incredible, Joy. This is
I love
history.
it.
Yeah, everybody the parachutes have opened up.
That's
and
awesome.
they are about to land into the water.
That is awesome. And of course, Lev Parnas, he is our moment of joy, providing us an alternate moment of joy. Artemis 2 back, coming safely to the earth. Lev Parnas, we have to make a weekly appointment, man. I'm gonna just need you to just clear your Fridays for me. We need it once a week. I need you on once a week till we get this tea. Thank you for blowing our minds, Lev. Y'all, please support Lev. Go to levparnas.org. You got to support him for Congress. If you was in Congress, fire burn them. Let me tell you, it would.
We're getting there, Joy. I promise you, we're gonna.
Listen, they're not ready for you, though. They're not ready. You have a gavel.
I promise you, before we even get to Congress, they're not ready. What we're about to do, they're not ready. No, we're not, because let me tell you, next week, one of the things when I'm coming to DC, and I'm going to send you the pamphlet, we are putting on a protest. I'm organizing right now with No Kings, with Midas, with Defiance, with everybody. We are going to flood their phone mails. We are going to make millions of people. We're going to call every day, and we're going to demand, and we're going to shut down the government with our emails and phone calls. Well, get ready. We're about to action. So, Joy, get ready. We're about to do some stuff. I'm excited.
Listen, I don't have to get ready because I stay ready, Lev.
That's right. That's right, Jay.
I don't have to get ready. I stay ready. Lev Parnas, everyone. Happy weekend, my friend. You are the best. Like, don't turn off your phone, because I'm gonna be texting you immediately after the show.
I got you.
Lev, take care.
Good night. Take care, guys.
Thank you. Oh my, do y'all see that? Lev came and connected those dots, baby. Lev has the TEAT every single time. Okay, we're gonna make a weekly appointment with Lev, guys. Do you agree with that? I think we all agree. We need Lev once a week. I'm sorry. And when he gets to Congress, I don't know what he's gonna do, because he's gonna have a congressional job, but I'm still gonna need to talk to Lev all the time, because he's got the tea. All right, before we go, wow, let's grab another moment of joy. We are excited about Artemis coming back down. You can open up a second window on your YouTube if you want to watch that land, or just grab the clips later. We'll, of course, grab them as well and use them on Monday. But we're excited that the men and women on the Artemis 2 have come back safely to Earth, where it's messy, it's problematic, but it's home. All right, let's do our moment of joy. This is from a very hilarious creator on Instagram called DVD Columbo.
Not sure why we're all still having trouble with this. Let's try it again from the top. This is a victory for the U.S. because our goal from day one was for Iran to open the strait that didn't close till after we attacked, which was completely controlled by their military we had total dominance over. And it was a waterway that we could have taken over, but instead asked for help that we didn't need, but we'll remember that our allies did not give us. All because of the negotiating power of a FIFA Peace Prize recipient's threat to annihilate a civilization in order to liberate them from a regime that changed, which was not our goal, but we will take credit for, from an old man who hates us to his younger son who hates us for those reasons and that we killed his father. And while it is not clear the status of Iran's nuclear capabilities that we obliterated last year, but were going to be a problem in 2 weeks, one thing is for sure. They now have more money and control of the strait than they had when they made the old deal that we ended because it was terrible. Now, I think that is enough about authoritarian propagandistic regimes. Does anybody have any questions about the Trump Library golden statue?
I actually think that DVD Columbo needs to be the new White House press secretary, because he actually makes more sense than Caroline Levitt. Thank you all for watching the Joy Reid Show. Wow, y'all, what a Friday. let's all pray for Brian to find a good supportive brassiere, because we all know that support is everything when it comes to the breast disease. So let's just hope that he gets the right kind of bra for himself. He deserves to have a break from a woman, with a woman who doesn't actually shoot puppies in the face.
Could
We're
I
rooting
just
for
say,
Brian.
I don't know what a woman could do to a man to make him want to make it, let me just leave it alone.
It's got to be something real severe that heifer, we are heiferologists, we are junior heiferologists on this show.
We need to ask Miss Maddie J about
We need to probably, we're going to reach out to Miss Maddie J, because I need to know, IEYE need to know what a heifer got to do to a man to take him from first gentleman of an entire state to someone who for 9 years is trolling around on the interwebs with people who he wants to emulate their boobature. I need to know what that, Kristi Noem must be demonic.
Terrible.
She took that man from the first gentleman to the first lady of that chat room. She took him from first gentleman to first lady of Miss Sotomayor, the 5-foot dominatrix that is his queen.
With 25 cc implants.
And he wants 26 cc. He wants bigger. He wants his to be even bigger than her bazooms. He wants his bazooms to be bigger than her bazooms. What on earth did this woman do to that poor man, Brian? We stand with you. Whatever she did to you, it had to be terrible.
Babe. Glass houses.
Terrible. She did something to him. And it's not just eating up the mosh bars that were sitting on the couch. No, she did something. She shoots dogs in the face.
Are you back on this mosh bars
Y'all
thing
been eating my
again?
mosh bars.
I did. Anyway, can we go now, please? Because I didn't touch your mosh bars and you are still talking about it. Bye. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care.
Oh, wait, before you go, Jason, wait. Don't stop yet.
What?
I got to let everybody know how to make a security.
Okay.
Listen, y'all know, the chat knows it's true. Here's how you make a security. Y'all asked me in the last show, and I promised I would tell you. Here's how you make a security. You get yourself some champagne. Get anyone you like. I personally like a Moet Imperial. Imperial Rosé is my favorite. You're going to take a dram of champagne. You're going to add a good cognac. Don't go with the cheap cognac. You need an excellent high quality cognac. You want 1 shot of cognac. You want 1 shot of Saint Germain. Okay. So it's champagne, 1 shot of cognac, 1 shot of Saint Germain, add a maraschino cherry and just a little bit of a drizzle of grenadine to give it some color. If you want to make a twist now, you can throw a little lime in there and give it a little, little something, something, something. That is a security.
Is that what you plan to drink next?
100%. I'm going to eat it with my last mosh bar. All I got left is 2. And I'm going to eat them both.
I'm going to tell you something. You need to stop sleepwalking at night and eating those mosh bars because, again, I haven't tasted any of them. But
Carolyn Gallego in the house. Carolyn Gallego just said that
guys,
Jason didn't eat the mosh bar.
I'm about to take this podcast off the air right now. So Joy, say good night to everybody.
Get my Z-Biotic and my security. Love you guys. See you on Monday. Bye.
Getting back to the basics, grassroots level. Let me dig a little deeper with the shovel. Plenty can't tell the forest from the trees, and I'm hard to detect, like a black hole in the dark. Injustice anywhere, it's a threat to justice everywhere. Let me make this clear, I got a bone to pick, and I'll never fear the threat of poverty. They don't want to talk about it, they rather party, so I'm a real talk about it, for sure.